And good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Monday, October 31st, 2022. Markets pretty much performed as I thought they would in advance of what the market is putting a lot of weight on this Fed meeting on Wednesday. It actually starts tomorrow, concludes on Wednesday, and we get a results at 2 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday, 2:30 Eastern. The press conference begins with the Fed chair, Mr. Powell. Now, what did we end up doing today? Basically, we stayed lower for the session. We had one brief moment where the Dow pushed itself into the green, then the S&P gave it a good old college try, as did the NASDAQ. But the market that did stay higher all day was the Russell. And so that continued to support both the NASDAQ and the S&P, just as the overlap that each of those indexes have with each other. But overall, tight ranges, tradable, but the money that would be made today, I am going to suggest and think that it truly was being withheld within those first hour and a half to 2 hours of trade in the morning. So there's not much to be adding. So here in the S&P, same deal. We are continuing to monitor and the process or progress of an intermediate second wave. I continue to hold what I discussed yesterday, still in play possibly. So if I go up to that daily, as I said, what I'm now looking for is confirmation as to where the market may go. I've also posted on the website or here on YouTube, I moderated a show this morning from Timing Research, and it's an affiliation that I've had for many, many years. And today I got to moderate the show, so it was between me and Norm Hallett. And part of what we ask during this particular show of the guests that would be there is where do we feel that the S&P will close higher or lower than Monday's opening on. So by Friday, will it be higher or lower than today's opening? And it was fairly impossible to give a direct answer. So I have included that recording. It is here on YouTube. And so what I said during there, and at the end, I actually revised it to say that it really depends. All of the weight right now depends on, or all of the weight of market direction depends on what the Fed does and on Wednesday. So I left it as such. If the Fed does end up somehow in pivoting, which could be leaving them unchanged or not raising the full 3/4 of a basis point or 75 basis points, maybe raising 50. That would be, I likely consider a pivot by the market. And I would think that the market will very quickly move above 4,000. Now, whether they do it all on Thursday afternoon, it actually is going to depend on where it all starts from. But I think eventually the market's reaction will move it above 4,000. Right now, it's going to be about a 200-point rally. Well, actually, not true. That would be if we got all up to the 200-day moving average. So no, that's not there. But from here, it's about 120. Could it do that in a day? Absolutely. We've seen it. We've seen the S&P now add these 100 to 120-point days, not super regularly, but more than what I've seen in the past. Now, here was the part two, actually 3 parts. So that would be on if they, by chance, should do what the market considers pivot. So pivot from raising it at these incredible amounts, which actually in my mind is not, but so being a little bit facetious there. In any case, next up would be what if the Fed raises those rates a full percentage point or 125 basis points? And my response was, we crash. That would be, oh, you were supposed to pivot. You didn't. You raised, and you raised above what you said you were going to do. Oh my God. Ba-boom. They're just going to take it and just fly. Third, if they do it the 75 basis points, market may have a small reaction, but eventually just going to turn and go like, wow, expectations already priced in. So that was how I answered whether the market would be higher or lower, above or below today's opening price on Friday's close. So we continue to have all those numbers that'll be coming out starting midweek. And then the biggest of those on Thursday, we have, that's just kind of gone by. I know we have jobless claims, the other being international trade in goods and services. But of more importance will be Friday's employment situation, which are nothing more than the October jobless claims and unemployment report. So we're going to have to sit through this for another day and a half as the beginning of the fireworks, or no fireworks, isn't until Wednesday afternoon Eastern time. So again, Fed begins their meeting tomorrow, and then we have the report, or the results of that meeting will be released at 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, and the Fed chair begins the press conference at 2:30 Eastern. Most important to be paying very close attention to that. Now, what can we expect going forward between then and now? I'm thinking we're going to, again, get this. If they can begin an upside move, so if tomorrow maybe the buyers start to move in advance of how they feel. So it, again, depends on what actually people want to do. I, in one place, or one way or the other, do not or would not intend to put on a position in advance of this report or this move by the Fed, because it's going to be, you can do it via options, and you could buy puts out of the money, you could sell calls out of the money, or just buy out of the money calls or out of the money puts, depending on what you think is going to happen. In fact, you can buy an out of the money straddle and pretty much get yourself covered either direction. So what I think in between is that, again, the market does seem to not really want to drop out of the sky right now from current levels. And so I'm leaving this labeling as I have put it in. It's 1, 2, 3. This is still all part of a fourth wave, possibly complete there. And now we're going to start to go back up, but it just is getting caught up in its own wind here. And then the wind just kind of dies down and the sales go flat. Now, so I'm thinking we're going to continue to be somewhat range bound. My thought process is that as we got closer to Wednesday and that report, that we would likely see the possibility of some short covering if the market's going to start inching its way higher, or some squeezing of the longs and they start getting out of those longs if we start to drop too far. And that's just a product of how long you want to hold on to a trade that's not working for you. So again, I'm not really expecting anything in advance of that Fed report or Fed decision on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we do have PMI manufacturing final, but more importantly, at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have the ISM manufacturing index. And believe it or not, the Chicago Purchasing Manager Index did have a little bit of a pop. They got a little bit of a move today, and I was a little surprised. Didn't last very long, but it was there, and it was real, and it was tradable. So ISM is red on the Econoday chart, and that suggests market mover. So be on the lookout, 10 a.m. Eastern, ISM. So outside of that, got a bunch of nothing. So whatever ISM comes in at could give a little bit of hint on what and how inflation and cost is affecting purchasing managers. So there was the PMI that came out today, they saw a drop. So not so much purchasing going on. So again, the market may react. How much? Don't know. We don't know what the numbers are going to be. So we will wait and we will see. The weight of this week's direction and moves is going to be really coming in on Wednesday again. So we have, let me see if I can add a little bit. Again, I can't really put anything else in for like where we can expect this fifth wave. Now, what I did do, and I'm not sure what happened to it, but I'm going to put it back, and that's just putting in our extensions for that C wave. So we get a little bit of an idea. Excuse me. So that, we did get up to 0.618. Talked about that last night in the update. Above that, we have 39.38, and we have 39.59 to 60, and then we have 4,013. That magic number, that 4,000 level. So yes, we do have fibs that take us above 4,000, just above. A runaway, we're looking at probably even 4,100 or above. So that would be something that's going to have to come in really stellar for the market to get up there. But this, I actually can see this taking place before any news. But if, like I said prior, should that report or should that Fed decision show any signs that they actually did pivot, 4,000, I'm going to say, should be pretty dang quick and getting up to it. So, but again, we won't know until Wednesday. But for tomorrow, we do have that ISM at 10 a.m. Eastern that may produce a little bit of a pop in one way or the other. But I'm still thinking that we're kind of going to be stuck between the highs, which right now are 39.24, but I'm going to call it the resistance that we still have at 39.15 to that support that we have down below at 38.55. So basically trading below, trading between Fibonacci support / resistance at 38.2%, the extension, and then the 618% on the extension level. And what we'd be looking for out of that extension is for it to continue to make a new high above 39.25, which is the area where the current high is, and getting itself up to 39.37, 39.60, possibly even 4,000. I'm going to leave it there. Our moving averages did basically zippity-doo-dah. In fact, they ended on the hourly chart pretty flat. I'm going to drop this real quick down to the 5-minute chart. We're going to get this open so you can see just sideways action. Lots of sideways action here. Pretty much from here's where our opening. We opened, we dropped, then we went down, we finished up, we got everybody up there. Then the market did a larger correction, nice, very tradable, but it came right at lunchtime. So most people were not really paying attention. And then we continued lower, and then we just kind of traded within a range and trading within the range. I don't see that changing. Going over to the NASDAQ, also not much to be adding there. That also continues to see, we're just going to start here on this little 5-minute chart. Sideways action looks pretty much just like the S&P chart, where we started off, we dropped. It was a great decline this morning. It was a really kind of great decline. I kept thinking it was going to pop, and it did. But boy, they got themselves caught up and they dropped it again. And they dropped it actually below 11,400. So we continue to have that support at 11,320, 321. And we're not breaking any rules. So this 4 can continue. And the fact that it's just extending is making it look a lot bigger than it is. Because don't forget, there was the 2. And that pretty much just extended lower as well. So I'm going to continue to look at this as a possibly being a 3, a third here. And this is a 4. Now, whether that completed the 4 and we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're just working through a wave 2, and now we're going to get ready to start up again. We may not get anywhere past that high, which is 11,622 right now. And let's see, where did this go? Yeah, 622. And so above these levels, we have that magic number still where this wave 5 would be equal to wave 3, and that's going to come in at 11,720. And then we have additional resistance at 11,728. So 38, excuse me. So we have a little bit of a zone right there. Actually, it is 28. My eyes are getting pretty tired today. So not much to really be saying. Again, same deal. The NASDAQ's going to react just like the S&P and the rest of the markets. If we get any type of a sign from the Fed that they actually did pivot, boom, we're gone. And we will start heading up to these upper levels. And the NASDAQ will move a lot faster. I mean, both will move quickly, but this thing will gain hundreds of points as it rallies. That's just the way the NASDAQ trades. Again, if it is a disappointment that they come in larger than anticipated, right now the gig is that they've got 75 basis points likely priced in. That's what the market's going to be told. That's priced in. Whether people want to believe that or not, you're going to see it come out in the trade. So 75, I think, just maybe gives us a little pop one way or the other, but then it just kind of evens out and they just start going again. They have no reason to do anything. If they don't pivot now, they'll pivot next time. So, but that's going to be the line. A disappointment, boom. This thing will clear all of this. And this will again likely be stuck as a failure. If I move it out even to the daily, it's too big. If I move it out and take a look at the 4 hour, it's just very kind of crappy. And so we really do need to get above there to finish this C. If it starts to drop from here, it might just be a very quick double, and then we've already done it. ABC up to here. And now this is the beginning of a larger decline. Again, gotta wait. Market's got to tell me. And so we sit in between, basically doing nothing, and that may be the case right through tomorrow as well. Again, remember, we've got that number. We got the ISM tomorrow at 10 Eastern. Wednesday, we get the Fed results. That's it for today. Our next update will be tomorrow, Tuesday, November the 1st.